In southeast Portland, Oregon, tucked away in the sleepy Sellwood neighborhood and just a stone's throw from the antique stores, coffee shops, brew pubs, art galleries, and tiny eateries, stands Wilhelm's Portland Memorial Mausoleum. Wilhelm's compound covers over 2.5 city blocks, with some of the buildings soaring to an impressive 8 stories tall. The back of the tallest building features the largest outdoor mural in the western United States. A full-service facility started as a family business in 1901. Wilhelm's also boasts a funeral chapel and crematory, which just happens to be the oldest crematory west of the Mississippi River. Among the amenities in this fine establishment, one can find stained glass windows from Tiffany, Povey, and Gerlich, a veritable heavenly host of carved angels and cherubim, and dozens of other religious statuary. The most breathtaking statue is easily a full-size, exact replica of Michelangelo's famous Pietà, weighing in at over 7,000 pounds and lifted into place using a crane in 1969. It's made from marble quarried from the very same source in Italy that Michelangelo used. But back to the mausoleum. And referring to it as a mausoleum is akin to referring to the Queen Mary as a boat. The mausoleum at Wilhelm's is the largest on the west coast and contains the remains of over 90,000 people, with room for at least another 40,000 more. It's truly a necropolis, a veritable city of the dead. Under normal circumstances, Wilhelm's is closed to the general public 364 days per year. But on that one remaining day, Memorial Day, Wilhelm's opened the gates to one and all. Not meaning to sound facetious here, but it literally becomes a sort of Disneyland of the dead. There are tours of both the guided and self-guided varieties, a vintage car show, an authentic Scottish bagpipe band, special ceremonies, and even refreshments. It's such an odd feeling to see entire families strolling through the mausoleum and taking in the sights while munching on popcorn and cookies. Add in the occasional strains of carnivalesque music that filters in from Oaks Amusement Park, which sits just behind Wilhelm's on the other side of a wildlife refuge on the banks of the Willamette River, and you have the most surreal juxtaposition imaginable. Inside, the mausoleum is like a strange combination of the Winchester Mystery House and the catacombs underneath the streets of Paris. The labyrinth of hallways, nooks, crannies, and rooms, both big and small, boggles the mind. Be sure and bring your walking shoes. On the day that I visited, I logged over 4 miles, according to the pedometer on my phone, and yet I still didn't see everything on all floors. And while there were hundreds of visitors there that day, it was not uncommon to travel through entire sections of the mausoleum without seeing another soul, not a living one anyway. There are spots that feel off in the mausoleum, where the creep factor increases by several fold. The complex is not without its own legends of the occasional sightings of ghosts, including a disappearing cat and a wispy mist-like figure that has often been reported at the base of one of the marble staircases. At one point, I thought I was observing some sort of strange apparition at the end of a darkened hallway, but on closer inspection, it turned out to be a couple of teenage goth kids dressed head to toe in black and locked in the tryst of a heavy makeout section. From what I hear, this is a somewhat common occurrence for those who appreciate the darker things in life, or death, I suppose. There is a persistent melancholy about the place, as one would expect. Even with all the beautiful stained glass and loving memorials, one can't help but feel a certain sadness amongst all the dead. There's a particular pall that hangs over the children's areas that is very, very sad indeed. Most amazing is the sheer number of cremation urns on display. There are literally thousands of them, if not tens of thousands, ranging from the very simple and understated to the decadently ornate and beautiful. The urns are all set into little alcoves or niches resembling bookcases. Behind glass to prevent theft or vandalism, which apparently is a real concern, many of the urns are displayed with photos of those whose ashes rest within. It gives one such a strange feeling to know that all that is left of the person staring back at you from the antique photograph is locked inside the container just behind. Another attraction on Memorial Day is the opening of the Ray Crypt, located just outside the main entrance and separate from the rest of the mausoleum. Open for only 90 minutes on this one day per year, guests line up by the hundreds to walk through the heavy bronze doors and into the tomb. Inside, in coffins made of solid bronze and resting in matching marble sarcophagi, are the remains of lumber baron George Ray and his second wife, Elizabeth. Steeped in scandal and family infighting, the full story of the Rays and their fabulous tomb can be read about in the book Whispers from the Ray Room by curious Portlander Roy Whitting, who spent years delving into the family's secrets. Amongst the hand-hammered copper and carved marble figurines, one has the feeling of being in the presence of royalty. The Wilhelm staff estimate that to construct such an ornate tomb in today's world would cost well beyond the $1 million mark. At the back of the crypt, there's an ornate stained glass panel of a mountain, apparently Mount Hood, which bears the puzzling inscription, "The End of a Perfect Day." I'm not sure if this is merely a sweet sentiment or the hint at something perhaps more sinister. There's a link to Whitting's book about the Rays and their fabulous tomb in the description, and also more information about Wilhelm's. If you happen to be in Portland, Oregon on Memorial Day, the visit to Wilhelm's and their City of the Dead is simply a must-see. In closing, I'll leave you with a quote from William Cullen Bryant's classic poem, Thanatopsis, which I find particularly fitting after a day spent among these folks in their eternal slumber. So live, that when thy summons comes to join the innumerable caravan which moves to that mysterious realm, where each shall take his chamber in the silent halls of death, thou go not like the quarry slave at night, scourged to his dungeon, but sustained and soothed by an unfaltering trust. Approach thy grave like one who wraps the drapery of his couch about him and lies down to pleasant dreams.